The podcast, say it with your blood clot chest, contains discussions on sensitive topics. The views expressed by the participants are their own and may not reflect the opinions of others. Please be aware that the content provided is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. Listener discretion is advised, as the discussions may include explicit language and challenging subject matters. The hosts, guests, and production team are not responsible for any discomfort or offence caused. We encourage open-mindedness while engaging with the content. Thank you for listening, and we hope you find value in the show.
Please, Sanka, the next time you get Desperado, can you make sure you get tequila, please?
What flavour is
Look,
it?
piss off, fam. I won't get you a drink
Original.
next time. I'll get you water.
I didn't even know there was an original Desperado. I thought there was all tequila.
That's what I mean, but...
Let me see. Oh, shut up, man. I'm sure it
It must have tequila in it.
Not properly.
Check the label, man. Check the reverse.
Original beer.
What does it say on the back?
Ingredients: water, malted barley, glucose syrup, sugar, hot extract. You don't say nothing to do with tequila.
Carl, it will set though. What did you bring to the table? Because you brought your own food for yourself. You came late, made us wait around. You're sucking off the salad like some dick, like some anti-man. What did you bring to the table today? Other than fucking...
Sucking off the salad like a healthy man.
Okay, if you want to suck things off like a healthy man, go for it, man.
Why, that don't sound right, man.
Why?
Whatever tickles your fat boy, bro, what influence you
Thank you, Nicky, for coming, because if you didn't come, would have been resorted to bringing the next man. Talking about...
Oh, blood.
Have you called him?
My man who knows, his message is still on record. I'm sorry, fam, you can't come now, man.
Who?
My man who you have to escort out the
Oh,
show.
no!
Imagine.
So you call the security instead of
Yeah. Oh, shit.
guy.
And extensions all down in back. Oh, you've done it again.
Can't shut up, man.
He's done it again.
I'm sure you're doing tight in on that shit.
There's not even no hiding. We've got 2 cameras. So, fix that up, please.
Yeah, that was a funny night, that.
Blood. When I seen the video the next day, you and Sid.
Where did you see? Who filmed it?
Jody?
Oh, don't lie. When you sent me the
Yes,
video.
Jody.
Can't send me it.
She should film it, but she don't want to make the place look bad. She's not sending that to no one.
Nah.
Oh, I want to see that.
I think I can't remember. I'm sure I messaged her asking her for it, but
I can't remember how I was going on. I just remember this.
you man just had him in one rough hole, man.
Man, that's
His arms was in the air, bro. And I'm saying, yo, these man look like proper security. Like, we didn't even pay him nothing.
Yo, but this is the first time we've actually been able to sit down and analyse how the night went.
Yeah.
Shore party extravaganza was quality.
Yeah, man, it was a vibe still.
Yeah,
From what I
it
saw
was a
in it, 'cause I
vibe.
didn't get there late, but
Yeah.
it was still vibing when I arrived, you know what I mean?
It
And
was a vibe from the beginning. It
Yeah.
was definitely fuller from the beginning than it was last time.
Yeah.
You know, more people came on time. It was because they paid.
Yeah, I think the show was better than the part. The show was better than the show from the first one, but the party from the first one beat the party from this one.
Yeah.
So obviously,
100%.
it was good. It
different
was good to
levels.
be able to evaluate, because obviously I kind of expected it to not be as full due to people paying.
Yeah.
Going from free to paying is a big thing for people.
Yeah, standard.
But the amount of people that showed up for the show and the vibes at the show was what we needed, really.
When I walked in,
Yeah.
everybody was bubbling and everybody was vibing. From
Yeah, the
even though they
energy
were
was
sat
good.
down, it was still a nice energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People were enjoying the show and enjoying all the performances and everything. So
I've had a few people message saying, "Oh, I'm gutted I didn't come because it was a good opportunity to network and relate to some
yeah, man.
faces." Because even one person said to me, she says, "Oh, I'm sorry I didn't come. It's a good opportunity to network. I seen you had the pen game. You said that." I'm saying, "Yeah, did you not see him on the promo?" Up to it. They're like, "Yeah. I just thought you were just begging it."
Like, we're gonna put man's face on the thing and then, oh, sorry, they couldn't make it.
That was so sorry. Cool was supposed to come West Indian. Oh, never turned up.
I'm sure man got arrested though. No, to be fair.
What the whole of Soul Solid crew?
Yeah.
Possible, but anything's possible. That was when they was in the young prime. Whatever.
Could have been excuses. Could have
Different
just
time,
thought,
man.
why that travel to That travel to Leeds is a long travel, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure Mega Man might have got arrested around them times still.
But actually, like arrested for the night or
Jail.
remand.
Yeah, man was locked up.
Yeah, locked up.
For a minute. It might not be in that time, but still.
Yeah. Mega Man's it's only in recent years I've realised how detrimental he was to the UK scene.
He was a road man, innit? Most of them man were still.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and obviously down in London, shit's a bit different down there, you know what I mean? Shit's on point.
Yeah, it's the capital, innit? So it's the land of opportunity compared to country, as they like to call us.
Yeah, Emmerdale farmers.
Hey, I've got a general question because I actually this documentary caught me last night. 3-hour documentary of a geeky ass white dude talking about the Central Sea and Digger D, beef, obviously the music, and then obviously the gangs behind it and stuff in London, because they're all from West London, innit? Yeah. Digger D, Central Sea, and Fredo, all representing different gangs. And at the time, one of Digger D's main things, and I kind of feel for him, because obviously my man's in jail now. I think he got locked up last year.
I can't stay out of jail though, man.
Yeah. But when you're active like that,
you're making mad money though.
You're making mad money, but he's active, and as much as this geeky white dude was talking a lot of sense. Like, he don't even look like he listens to grime, but he does, because
I don't know what you mean, you know. Still him.
I don't know what his name was. I just looked at the thing. It was 3 hours long, and it said Central Sea, the beef behind his success and stuff. It was 3 hours long. I watched it all through work, and then I got through an hour and a half of it, and then watched the rest when I went to bed. And one of the main things is obviously Central Sea for the whole time hasn't admitted his race, you know. But it's clever marketing, clever.
People are intrigued, isn't it?
People are intrigued, but also it broadens his appeal to people if they don't know what he is, but he looks like he could be anything. You know what I mean? He looks like he could be mixed race. Not in my opinion, but people could think.
It's like, though, that's the industry's always been like. Look at when Snow came out. Remember, Informer. You know, just stopping the one we are go playing. You know what I mean? Everybody thought it was a black guy. When they saw him on top of the post, like, hold on.
I didn't know that was. I thought that was black guy till I was now, man.
No.
You was this, man.
What about M. Dot?
Oh, he's just a dickhead. Like, let's be real, man. He's a pillar, man. But yo, what on the topic of pillars, actually? You, man, imagine this morning, yeah? I'm not going to say the person's name, but he's an arsehole. Comes to my house at 8 o'clock this morning. Knowing full well I start work at 9. So I'm in my bedroom minding my own business. I heard the person calling. They're quite irritating. Last time they came to my house, I had to kick them out.
Yo, so, man, say it with your blood clot chest, man.
No, I'm not saying the name, blood. I'm not saying the name.
Alright, go on.
The person's an arsehole, though. So, come to my yard. The last time they come to my house, I had to kick them out. They come today, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking, fucking hell, what do you want, man? I'm downstairs talking to my dad. 2-2s. I thought, I'm going to put a bath on, get in the bath before I start my shift. 2-2s now. I heard the person come upstairs, and then, you're morning. I said, morning.
Straight away heard his voice, knew who it was.
Yeah. No, I heard him downstairs. I knew them from downstairs. I said, morning. I said, you alright? I said, yeah, I'm good, you? Yeah. Boom. I've heard him chuckle, gone in the bathroom. Why are they in the bathroom for 40 minutes while the bath's running? 40 minutes. I'm just knocking on the door. I'm saying, yo, whoever's in here, I know it's them. Whoever's in here, can you turn my bath off, please? They're just ignoring me. Say, yo, can you turn my bath off, please? They're ignoring me. So I'm knocking on the door. Bear in mind, yeah, the door's slightly open so I can see someone's silhouette sat in the bathroom. So I'm knocking on the door. Yo, can you turn off my bath? Hear the person. I'm shitting!
Man.
I said, okay, but can you turn off the bath for me when you're done? I can't turn it off now, I'm shitting! I can't leave the toilet when I'm shitting! I'm thinking, first things first, why the frig have you come to my house at 8 o'clock in the morning with your bowels full up? Pull before you leave your house?
Decided to sit. He knows the bath's running.
So he knew what he was doing, fam. Why are you in there for 40 minutes?
He wanted to bask in his ambience, you know.
Left the bathroom at 10 to 9, and not enough time to get a bath. Screwing, I have to do because I come hours down, I only get a 15-minute break.
Yeah.
When I'm working from home. What are we going to do in 15 minutes?
No.
By the time I go hot up some food and come upstairs, it's time to get back on the phone.
That's a
Window
mistake.
open or window closed?
I had the window open prior anyway.
Even still, man. Man didn't even come into my yard at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Look,
No, it even open
I
for
made a
starters.
mistake.
Never mind to come and have a shit.
I made a mistake and went to the car and I must not have locked the door back when I went to the car.
Yeah.
Never doing that again.
Why?
Because of that prick. See if you can get in my yard, but anytime I come in the house, the dog ching ching ching.
Every lock.
Every time. Blood, go share your own house.
The only
And then
man
give
that
me
can do that
attitude.
is probably my
When you
brother.
when you're asking to switch it.
The only man that could do that. Oh. Shit. Let the cat out the bag.
Like I said, I'm not saying no was names.
Yeah, well, someone said it with their chest. Nice one.
Yo.
Nicky said what he wanted to say. I didn't agree to it. What you on about, man? This what's gonna be no cut a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
What can I say?
I saw, man.
Yeah, that's
You don't come to someone's yard 8 o'clock in the morning, shout the toilet, make them not get a bath, and then give them attitude about it.
No.
I'm shitting.
Where was it coming from at that time? Did it not come from yard? Charlie.
Must be bloody. Don't live store throw away.
I'm saying maybe he didn't have no toilet roll.
But it's £1 blood. You got Rizzler. What are you talking about? You got Rizzler.
And to be honest, he could have
got
asked for some
Rizzler.
toilet.
Got Raw.
He could have asked for some toilet roll and went back to where he's going. The fact that he wants to leave his feces smell up in you. Knowing you're going to get in the bath, fair enough, you don't have enough time. But what have you got in the bath?
Hot water.
No,
You know the
steamy
hot
steamy
bathroom.
bathroom.
And someone's.
Yeah.
What have you got in the bath?
It's not the one.
You have to sit
Out
there
of
and
order,
smell
man.
up his shit, man.
No, what he was doing that because I kicked him out last time, but he was getting calmer, man. He wanted his revenge.
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
But that's it all from.
You just got to do it next time. Next time you got an opportunity, you need a shit, just hold it.
No. Ban,
Man
man.
be raised better.
Nah, I don't want revenge.
Get back, man. I'm petting you. I'm shitting your yard too.
No. Stay away from me, man. Come around in my yard.
Don't come back.
Yeah, you banned now.
Or take it one step extra. Shit in his yard and don't flush the toilet.
Nah.
Nah, that's nasty, man.
No.
Yeah, that's
Alright, I'll cut that out.
jail stuff, man. You're just moving very custodial, bro.
That's some different kind of revenge.
Nasty. Feel sorry for your siblings.
Just leave,
You're like him.
just leave
You're
skin
like that
marks on the
idiot that
side.
comes to my yard and shit out my yard 8 in the morning. See what I'm saying, man? So you might not get along.
Man, probably come with some revenge from 2 years ago.
Hey, no, it's not like we don't get along. He don't like me.
Yeah.
I'm cool with him.
Okay.
So it going on. That's what happens when people clash. You know what I mean? Trust me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
God.
but we got Nicky here.
Yeah,
We
well,
finally got him out. We didn't even think he was going to come. We thought he was leaving it till the last minute.
Man didn't give me no choice. Started blowing up my phone, leaving voice notes every 2
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
Yo, you're coming.
Yeah.
You're coming. Don't even coming now, because you're coming.
Yeah, we just.
We spoke to God about this.
That was the plan, you know, to not give you any opportunity to make an excuse.
Yeah.
Just make you a friend.
We
And
need
we
him
got you here.
at perfect times to make sure
Yeah, well,
you
know
can't
what
think
I
of a last minute excuse, but it's not too early to where he's bugging you all day.
mean? Everything has its time, fam. You know what I mean? And obviously now it was just the right time in it, so
Yeah, I think it was. Definitely, man.
so it
And
go.
I don't think a lot of people know. I think they know your face, but don't really know your story, man. And I think it's about time you got your flowers.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, well, I ain't here for flowers, fam. You know what I mean? Obviously, yeah, people do know me. I think a lot of people probably know me and know my face more than anything.
Yeah.
And it's more of a love thing, you know what I mean? Just because of who I am and how I am with people, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, there's probably little bits about my life that people don't know or even recognize.
Nah, trust me,
Oh.
trust me.
Well, like I always heard your name, but I didn't know you at the time, which is funny because we're related. But I remember hearing NIC because obviously I was around like Cash and
Yeah.
them man there back in the days. You get me? So I heard your name in the LDC business, but I didn't know you until I think I started buying DVDs off you.
Yeah.
DVDs.
So you bought DVDs off your cousin before you was your cousin?
Nah, but by the time I buy DVDs, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
When I heard the name NIC, I didn't know I was related to.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad we got to start this Nickivew. The Nickivew.
Nicky, you know.
So we're gonna start. This is Say It With Ya
Blood clot.
Yes.
Blood Clot Chest.
Oi.
So what you say, LDC?
Yeah.
So
LDC.
you was with T2?
Yeah, man. So obviously it was LDC, Ludacris Crew, LDC for short, innit? So
Yeah.
kind of started out in one attic. It was originally me, Grim, and Danny, my brother.
Yeah, man,
Danger,
I remember.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
So,
So
yeah, man,
we would just be up in the attic, kind of just busting down tune. Man was just spitting on tracks, you know what I mean, and just recording shit onto mini discs. Remember the fucking mini discs?
Jesus Christ.
Just making mini disc recordings, you know what I mean, just for the fun of it. And I suppose at the time it was time when like radio stations when like Genesis was on and you know what I mean, People's FM. So obviously man were going down and spitting on the radio and doing our thing, and then on the back end of that we was up in the attic kind of just spitting our own things, and then we'd get little opportunities to kind of play certain things on radio. You know what I mean? And things kind of just
Radio played a
grew
bigger
from
part
there.
back then, though, innit?
Yeah, definitely pirate radio.
So what was your role then? Just spitter?
Nah, man. Really and truly, I wasn't even. I wouldn't even say that I was much of an MC back then. I was more on the producing side.
Right.
So I was building up the tune, making music. You know what I mean? The MCing kind of came after that. You know what I mean? Because I was probably producing from like the age of 9. Because my dad had a studio and things, so I was always.
So you was making beats from then?
Yeah, back up on Cubase and all of them things. You know what I mean? And then man switched to Reason.
What genre when you was 9? What kind of music was you making then time?
Well, kind of started out just kind of rebuilding tracks, tracks that I like. So usually it was probably like house tracks and certain hip
So you
hop
was like
tracks.
taking samples. You wasn't starting.
No, not even
anything from
sampling.
scratch?
Just literally just rebuilding the track, fam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just be listening to the track and I just try to remake it.
Right,
you know what I mean? So
right.
that's kind of how I started, and then obviously started taking inspiration from music and then building my own thing. So even when I was actually producing for LDC, none of my stuff was ever sampled. You know what I mean? Everything was all original. You know what I mean? So I wasn't really down for the sampling thing, you know what I mean? Because that always meant paying royalties to somebody if I did make it big, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So I always,
You could never really fully claim that as your beat.
Exactly.
You know
You know what I'm saying? So
for somebody else.
tried to make sure that everything that we made was from scratch, you know?
Yeah. So out of all the genres, which one was the easiest to make a beat?
That's a tough question.
I say all the genres. How many genres did you do? Did you do like rap and hip hop?
Yeah, rap and hip hop. I tried to get my fingers in a little bit of everything, you know. I even made like swing tunes, reggae tunes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dance music, house music. I was just dipping into every genre. So when people would ask me, what kind of music do you make? I'd just be like, well, boy, I just make music, whatever comes. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you just sit down and somebody just come to you, fam. So you just kind of
sounds good. And you don't care what genre it is.
You know
I
what I
find
mean?
the genre after.
Basically, it sounds like you was basically just a musician, innit? Like you liked music.
Yeah.
And did you say that inspiration came from your dad having a studio?
Yeah. So obviously he was doing his reggae music and thing, you know what I mean? And then because I had the access to it, I just used to jump on, you know what I mean? Sit up in the little box room and just mess about with the music once he showed me what I was doing. And then,
so did he produce reggae as well? Reggae instrumentals and stuff?
Yeah. So he was like working with doing a couple of things with like Bricky, Brick Wall Studios and them on there. Obviously that's his age group in it, so they were doing their own thing, and then I just take advantage of the equipment that was there, fam. And when I could just jump on there and just build up a little tune. Before I know it, you know what I mean, I surpassed him when it came to making music, you know what I mean? So I was coming to me for tunes, you know what I mean? Got to that point, but
and it's like at them urges, it's good to start, cause it's just like it's nothing in comparison to playing a PlayStation, but when you've got so much time, you can put so much more effort in, and it is a bit more of a passion rather than when you're getting into an adult and you've got more priorities to deal with.
Not even just that, but at that age, you soak it up more, you know what I mean? So it's like they say, the older you get, the harder it is to learn things, you know what I mean? But when you're younger, you just pick up things like that, You know what I mean? So when it came to like music software and things like that, it just became very easy for me, you know what I mean? I got to a point where I could kind of jump on any different kind of software and I'd get my head around it, you know what I mean? And I was always quite technical as well, so when it came to like putting the studio and everything together and, you know what I mean?
You're very organised and meticulous.
You know what I mean? It became easy for me. You know what I mean? And then by the time, I suppose that LDC started, I'd already... I'd say probably around like 16, 17, where me, Grim and Danny kind of started to kind of come up with the idea of LDC, you know what I mean? And then, started putting a couple of things together. There was even one tune that I had my grandma on where she'd been cussing on the answer machine.
Auntie Alice?
Yeah, blood. She used to call the house, you know what I mean? We used to have an answer machine on the phone. And she was like, every time I call on the house, I blood clot. Not even blood clot, but blood blasted answer machine. Why I can't pick up the phone? So we just put it on the truth.
Quality gold.
You know what I mean? So we just used to mess about with music. We were quite out there, you know what I mean?
Taking inspiration.
Yeah, you know. So up in the attic and then radio stations and then things started to grow. You know what I mean? More people wanted to get involved with LDC. And eventually we ended up with like 13 members. You know what I mean?
So you like the one of the originals then, innit?
Yeah.
And T2 came in after.
Yeah, T2 came in after, you know what I mean? So
So how did it grow then? Because obviously I know T2 was a part of it. Cash, Rizzy,
Nitro, Nugget, Doogie, Magic, yeah. There was
Shawnee B.
Yeah.
There was a big collective, and they was all good. To be fair, they all was different. Like Magic was a sick. His flow, bit of rap.
Yeah.
The Rizzy was just a wizard.
Yeah.
Cash was just
The cash was different. My man's flow was different.
Like,
Yeah.
I tried to get. I'm in contact with him. I've had some really good conversations with him recently, actually, and I was trying to get him to come and do a performance at the thingy, but he's past that. Stage where he kind of focusing.
Then there was man like Doogie. My man was different as well. My man had a different flow.
Yeah.
My man was kind of more like for the ladies, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like
different.
Trust me. And it's like everybody had their own little style going on, you know what I mean? And I think that's what one of the things was that kind of made it successful. But I think when people started hearing about what we were all doing, me, Grim and Danny were doing, it was just like people started to slowly just come on and be like, oh yo, come and join you, man. And it was like, oh, if you want to join, man, you have to just join, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it'd be 1 or 2 man, and then 3 man. And before you knew it, there was 13 of us.
Just build up, innit?
You know what I mean? So when you're in the studio trying to figure out who's on what track, yo, sometimes it was a beef thing, you know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, I ain't been on a track yet. Why have I been on 2 tunes? It's like, yo, you know when I said to you, come down to the studio with your lyrics?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't be come down here be writing. The man gave you the tune already. You know what I mean? So
It's true.
yeah, but there was a little bit of politics, a little bit of drama.
Of course, there's gonna be with that many people.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
It reminds me of kind of like the way Wu-Tang were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not everybody got on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some man were beefing beforehand.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
But it was like, right, we have to come together to do something. Man was just doing the music. Man had the love for the music, you know what I mean? So
And that was one of the best crews of its time, man.
I think, yeah, because I said this was probably about three or four crews around at that time. You had Stay Focus, Yorkshire Terriers, CAG, you know what I mean? And then there was us, and then there was kind of like crews that span off of us, like LS7 Battlers.
I was just about to say.
Yeah.
Was you man before Battlers then?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Because obviously Battlers was on my radar from parties and stuff before LDC, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just through who I went to school with and being exposed to like Whitty and people like that.
Yeah.
So if you're saying that it's like LDC started but never really
Yeah.
publicised anything, never really got out there. You was more just building something and then they branched off.
And then
people branched off.
before you knew it was kind of doing, because we were working down at Horse and I had quite a few connections down at Horse as well, and it so it was like once we got the opportunity to get into the studio, started recording and things, and then music started to get out there. You know what I mean?
A tape, a project out, man.
Yeah, well, we had we put little music videos together, a couple of music videos, had a couple of YouTube videos on there with man spitting and thing, and then we did the album. So it was, what's funny is man went from kind of like the house and grime, and then the hip hop that we actually put out was the album that we put out was a hip hop album.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and that kind of featured more me, T2 and Grim. And then I think Danny featured in a couple of tracks as well, a couple of Next Man, but yeah, it was kind of just us three on the album, but all of the house stuff that got put out online kind of featured everybody. You know what I mean?
Wasn't there like a bit a project you lot put out around baseline times though?
Yeah.
But it was the projects I heard. I don't even really remember the T2 and Grim one, but I remember a project where it was like Rizzy and them, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was grime or bassline.
It was more kind of grime slash bassline, I think, you know what I mean?
Around that time though, when bassline was popping, wasn't it?
Yeah, because that was the kind of music that we were on. It was like, obviously the grime was out there, but I think we still had a love for bassline, so obviously a lot of us came from the garage era as well, you know what I mean? It's
but personally, I feel like grime beats resonate with the lyrics more
Yeah.
over bassline. I think bassline is more closer to dance.
I
closer
think
to
that's where we kind of
in the
differed
party.
though, because our music was a bit of a crossover.
Yeah.
So it was kind of bassline, but it had the grime feel to it.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
it had those elements where you could spit on the tune and it didn't sound too off. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
all
yeah,
blended
yeah.
in nicely. You know what I mean? So
Obviously, without dragging out the LDC matter too long, T2 bus and never bus no one, man. Why go out?
why? Well,
My man just left man in the dirt.
you know,
innit?
it's one of them things where
I didn't even know it was in. I didn't even know it was in LCD. So it's like
LDC.
LDC.
Sorry.
talking about radio
No,
stations.
sorry, no, I didn't even know it was in LDC. Mama didn't pay homage or nothing.
You
not
know, it
one
was,
time.
yeah. I think, obviously, back then, it kind of probably burnt man a little bit more than I wouldn't even say that it does now, because now it doesn't burn me at all. But obviously, man was a little bit frustrated with the way that things turned out. But you have to look at the different perspective of everybody's lives and thing. You know what I mean, he was in a lot more unstable than we were when I look at his lifestyle and his background, and you know what I mean, his parents and things like that. So he was on his own, whereas we came from a different family. I came from a big family. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I always had the support of my family and everything. You know what I mean? Me and Danny, Grim, we were all kind of related, so we were all kind of close in that sense. You know what I mean? And it's not like we didn't bring him in and, you know what I mean, show him our love, but at the same time, in the background, he was dealing with a lot of other things. You know what I mean? So I think when he ended up, well, when he blew off that tune, he had to move back down to London, and he didn't have a choice. You know what I mean? So it was one of them where he went down there. Man spoke to him, and he was like, yeah, you know what, send me that link that you got. You know what I mean? I'm going to send man some of our tunes. And next thing we knew, tune was out there. Heartbroken. We didn't really hear nothing back about, you know what I mean, us. But it was our connection. I think that's what kind of frustrated us first, because it was our connection that we'd made, me, Grim and Danny, you know what I mean? And obviously passed it on to him, and man just ran with it.
Yeah.
But again, you have to look at man's predicaments and, you know, where man at in life. And
still the time and hard work he would have put into it. Like, you can't really take nothing away from, you know, what he's produced.
And I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do that at all. I think the way that it went about it, though, was a little bit underhand, and it burnt a lot of bridges.
Yeah, because I heard, obviously, I've never spoken to Geordie herself, but I heard he ripped Geordie off like he didn't pay her out.
Well, yeah. There was that aspect of it as well.
Kind of cold, and even for him to be a producer and to be taking all the limelight, normally at them kind of sort with music, it's normally the artist.
Yeah. But I think the funny thing about that is at that time, I think a lot of producers were becoming more popular as artists and getting a lot of the limelight. So it was a kind of an opportunity for him to kind of release himself like that.
Yeah, I got one question. I mean? Did Geordie create those lyrics for Heartbroken, or was it T2?
Geordie wrote the lyrics.
Yeah, she wrote the lyrics. All right.
Yeah.
I did hear that, but I just wanted to clarify.
You know what I mean? So yeah, there was a lot of controversy about that. You know what I mean?
Even more, she had the rights, because obviously he wrote it and she like just sang. I'm not saying she don't have rights for nothing, but producers like usually have more than 50% of the songs anyway.
Well,
you know, whether you've written lyrics or not.
But I think, you know, the way that things kind of panned out, you know, put it this way, it wasn't all bells and whistles for him on that side of it. You know what I mean? It's not like he didn't get taken advantage of as well. You know what I mean? And years later, I think I must have seen him at Niche. He must have been DJing, and my man came back and he was humble. You know what I mean? And they apologized. You know what I mean? So for me, you know what I mean? I ain't holding on.
Of course not.
It ain't gonna do me no good. You know what I'm saying?
Bitterness just weighs on the heart, man.
Exactly.
So you know what I mean? It could have been a thing where, you know, we'd have made that link and got ripped off ourselves. You know what I mean? So you never know how things are gonna pan out. You know what I mean? So there's no point in holding a grudge and, you know what I mean, taking the negative aspect of it. You know what I mean? Just take it for what it is and just move on.
Like you say, someone made it out of the situation anyway. So good on him. And obviously, your life's gonna go where your life's gonna go anyway. This was your journey.
Well, the thing is as well, by the time he started blowing up, I think I started having kids by then, fam. So for me, when it came to my music, there was a lot of things I didn't move forward with just because I put my kids first. You know what I mean? So the trips that I could have been taken down to London to meet certain people or spend certain time down there, I didn't do just because I put the time into my kids, you know what I mean?
And you don't really want to leave your kids for that long, or
But I'm seeing the fruits from that as well, because my kids are doing well, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So
Talk your things, man. Talk your things, pops, man.
eldest is in university, you know what I mean, doing a PhD in physics, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
The daughters are down and performing and thing, eldest daughter's in college, you know what I mean? So everybody's doing good, and they're the fruits of where I put my energy, you know what I mean? So
definitely.
no
put a price
grudges
on
and
that, man.
nah, man. You know what I mean?
That's legacy, that, man.
Believe,
Literally.
you know what I mean? But it's not like people forgot what I did when it came to my music, you know what I mean? Even now, people still talk about, you know what I mean, what I used to be doing with my music, you know what I mean? And I had to laugh one day. I must have been in, working in bar and a while, fam. A man come up to me and was like, yo, you NIC? I'm like, yeah. NIC from LDC? I'm like, yeah. Yo, you man was 6 now. Yo, this is NIC. Man started calling me people over there. I was like, bro, that was fucking years ago.
But yeah, like you say, your legacy lives on, man, when you left an imprint. Because sometimes, for me, music of that era, it's whilst you're growing up, so you're learning lessons whilst you're listening to it. Even if it's not from from the music, it might just relate to a story or something that detrimental that happened at that time. And you do, as a musician, you play a big part in people's lives, especially when the children or the adolescents growing up.
Even bigger man, there's one man, Gyro. Yeah, man, hats off to you, call. My man still has one of my tracks in his playlist. Yeah, one track called Free. We get some just talking about life and childhood and being raised in Chapeltown, and even mentioned Cooler Bar in the tune. You know what I mean? My man just still got the track in his playlist now. You know what I mean? And just play it now and again, and just you know what I mean. And for me, that's love. You know what I mean? That kind of recognition for me is bigger than any money that I could have made. 100%. You know what I mean, with my music. You know what I mean? I was never in it for the fame anyway. I just loved making music, man. You know what I mean? I'd have been happy being a producer in the background. I suppose in a sense that's more of what I was anyway. You know what I mean? Which is why people didn't really know too tough about me. Everybody knew about Rizzy, everybody knew about Cash and Nugs and Nitro. You know what I mean? Them, because they're the man that we kind of pushed forward. You know what I mean? So that's
they
what
were
we
kind of the faces of LDC for me growing up. I think I remember hearing your name, Grim's name, but they would, because they were my age as well, and I'm going to parties and people are repping LDC. These man of my era, so this is what I'm putting LDC. So like I say, it's only once I've got older and I've met yourself and I've had conversations and I've understood. Oh, so you're the NIC guy that was behind the scenes pulling these strings and making this happen and man. Yeah, it's interesting, man. It's interesting.
And it was a good choice, because these lot are the ones that have the loud personalities, and that's what you kind of need. Well, Rizzy anyways was the one that I know. Loud personality.
The funny thing is, it's not like I don't have a loud personality, because people that know me. You know what I mean? And like I said, more. I'm a lot more humble in that sense. You know what I mean? And I didn't need the fame in that sense to be recognised. Don't get me wrong. There was times like when. You remember Slap and Tickle? You know what I mean? And Fiddy and Safford be up there. I'd be on the mic up there. You know what I mean? Up in the club sometimes. That's because I had a couple of drinks in my system, man. Yo, give me the mic, fam. You know what I mean? Just jump on a thing, but it was just never. I didn't need to have my name on the flyer all the time. Even though one time I did say to man, yo, if you want me to be on there, you better put me on the flyer. So I made man put me on the flyer, but it wasn't ever. I didn't need the fame in that sense. There was a love for the music for me.
As long as you kind of, especially got the recognition behind doors, because you don't just want to be doing it. And not really, as long as you people who are getting the fame can, appreciate
man, they know
the work you're putting in, and that's cool. Isn't it?
Yeah, man. And for me, that's where the love came from for me. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man.
People that know. Feel nice about my man still playing your music now.
Yeah, of course.
That's more important than financial gain, really and truthfully.
Trust me.
Making your music last.
Yeah, and giving it life. Like, that puts life into your music, that people are still listening to it and resonating with it. And it's held a place in their heart. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, we could talk about music and LDC and all that side of things all day long, but there's a few. We have good conversations generally, so there's a few topics that I kind of wanted to touch on today, just like real life stuff. So you mentioned about your kids. Obviously, I know you've got a kid with a disability.
Yeah.
I obviously want to talk about that a little bit. I don't know how deep you want to get into it, but like if you don't mind saying what the disability is and.
autism is kind of like one of the main ones. He's got he's born with cerebral palsy as well. Quite recently, found out that he's got ADHD and a few other things as well. You know what I mean? But I suppose there's certain things you go through in life that kind of prepare you to deal with certain things. You know what I mean? So for me, I feel like my stepdad had cancer. You know what I mean? So I had to deal with a lot of cares for him. You know what I mean? My granddad was quite ill. I had to deal with a lot of cares for him. So when it came for me, like having to do it for my son, it wasn't something that I necessarily struggled with. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, at first, like, boy, it was pressure. You know what I mean? And I think, being honest, I probably weren't as hands-on as I should have been. You know what I mean? Initially, yeah. Because obviously, at 18, had my first one. You know what I mean? And then second son came 8.5 months later. You know what I mean? So, because it was premature as well, came with a lot of difficulties. And I used to just take my first son on the weekend and just kind of leave him with his mum to kind of do the cares. And it was his mum that kind of said, yo, you know what? If you're going to take one, you have to take them both. So it got to that point where I just had to just take it on. You know what I mean? And kind of recognise for myself, you know what? It's just something that you kind of just need to do and get used to doing. But
that's real though, you know, because not a lot of people would openly admit that they didn't do enough initially. A lot of people, the ego wouldn't allow them to say that. They'd be like, yeah, man, I helped the mum, I did this. Knowing full well they're lying, but it takes a credit to yourself. It takes a man. This is why we're here, say it with your chest, because we'll say stuff that people may not look great to the open public, but it's real. Every decision you've made in life isn't always going to be great, and that's the only way you're going to learn, by making shit mistakes.
Yeah, I've got a question on top of that. You know, obviously at the start you said you didn't do that much and you wasn't as hands-on, let's say. Do you think a part of that was out of embarrassment?
No, I don't think it was never embarrassment, fam. It was more of being just the age that I was at, and not lack of understanding, but not wanting to take on that responsibility.
Lack of patience.
You know what I mean? Just not taking on the responsibility, not wanting to have to do that. You know what I mean? I think you know, because when you have one child, it's like it's hard enough. And having another one, and you know, with all the disabilities and cares that you have to do, because at one point it was like you had to be fed like every 2 hours or something, and it was like a little bit of milk, but he couldn't take it in, and then he was on a nebulizer as well. So there was a lot to do just to look after him. You know what I mean? And at that age, I was just not in the right mindset to kind of want to take that on and be responsible for it. You know what I mean? But you know, you get to a point where you realise this is something that you have to do, and you realise that your life's kind of prepared you to kind of deal with certain things. You know what I mean? So this is like why when I say when it came to the music and things, there's certain things I had to just put aside because I had to put my time into raising my kids. Do you know what I mean? Because I was dealing with a lot more than a lot of people my age were dealing with anyway. You know what I mean?
And there was a lot more to do. You've got, how was it, 5 kids?
5. One adopted, but yeah. 4, 5. We can claim them all.
You've adopted, like officially adopted?
Not officially, but you know,
right,
just taking it on. But you know what I mean. Obviously, all my friends that time didn't have kids. Nobody had youths. You know what I mean. So when everybody wanted to go out and do certain things, I was like, boy, I got my youths today. You know. You know what I mean. So and most of the time I had when I went with them, the baby mother, I had them on a weekend. So when everybody wanted to go out and party on a weekend, I was like, boy, not this weekend. You know what I mean? So
every weekend you had them all, one of them every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weekends, you know what I mean? So it was just one of them cases where I had to just, you know, make time for the family, and then, you know, on the other side of it I had time for myself. But yeah, you have to balance things, and like I say, not everybody was dealing with that at the time. Sometimes it was like, oh, you're always inside, fam. You never come out. And it was like, boy,
what can I do?
Now these men have got priorities. I realise now. You know what I mean? I'm calling them for come out on the weekend. I've got my you know.
Because you're picking this up.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Don't be that now. I can get back to me a little bit, you know what I mean? But everybody else is settling down now. And that's why another thing I'll say is like, there's no perfect time to have kids.
Never.
You know what I mean? I could say me having them young might have been detrimental to my life, but it wasn't in that sense, because it made me who I am. It's made me the dad I am. Do you know what I mean? And you know, it's not the same for everybody. You know what I mean? So
probably adds to why you're humble and just easy going, and you don't really rush into things and make mad decisions because you've had to be quite level-headed from young.
Yeah.
And would you say you've got more patience now than you would have had when you was a beginning father?
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Obviously, it comes with age anyway, but having kids and having to practice that patience on a constant basis.
Definitely. Because each child is different as well. That's what I will say. I've got 4 or 5, and each of them are different. You know what I mean? And you can't even raise them all the same.
Yeah.
You know how people say, oh, you know, you're supposed to raise your kids like this and do this with your kids. You can't do it with them all. You know what I mean? My first 2 were boys, totally different to my girls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes, you know, I'm not saying I beat my kids. I never beat my kids. But, you know, sometimes when you have to smack the kids and give them a little smack on the hand. With the elders, you know what I mean? It was all right. Well, last one now. I smacked her one time. She turned around. And she must have been about 3. She was like... I'm like, boy, we can't smack this one, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, take our things. Take our things away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Take our feet. You know? take our toys.
She's not
She's gonna remember you,
You know what I mean?
She's not on the licks.
Yeah. So you just have to try and find different ways to deal with them, you know what I mean? So there's no manual for when it comes to parenting.
I always say that.
You know what I mean? Every child's different. You have to raise them every way. So yeah, I'd say that's kind of giving me the patience to kind of deal with certain things as an adult, you know what I mean, and as a man, you know what I mean. So
like I said, our life journey is all part of God's plan, man. We're always going. Everything has its purpose. Like you said, obviously, with your stepdad having cancer, and you have to do care for him, and then your granddad as well, you've had to care for him, and then you've had a son with disabilities, so you've had to. Those skills that God's given you, which you may have not even realised at the time, was for a purpose.
Yeah.
Going to be a part of your journey.
In its character building, you know what I mean? Like I say, it builds you to the person that you are and teaches you to be humble.
Big up your baby mother, big up the mother of your kids as well. No, a lot of women don't like to be called baby mums, but big up the mother of your kids as well for having it in her to have a word with you and say, yo, look.
Yeah, man, I won't say them conversations was easy, blood, you know.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I've had them.
It's like, so boy, let me take a drink.
I've got mad. I've had them and I've got mad and I'm yo, shut up, man, you're the jack. But when you sit back and think about it, like,
you have to kind of,
the kid's best
because I would say that she made me the dad that I am.
Yeah.
In that sense, how she pushed me into, you know what I mean, doing certain things. So
she helped you get there.
Called you out,
you know what I mean? Yeah, called me out, literally.
You out.
You know what I mean?
That's
So
what you need, man.
I'll always give Jules in that respect to say, you know what I mean, she's always been a good mum, and she's you know, she's made me the dad that I am. Do you know what I mean? So I probably wouldn't be that if it wasn't for certain things that were said or certain things that were done. You know what I mean? So
no, literally,
man. Big up me, Julie, man.
Big up, man.
Big up, man.
Like my baby mum does my head in from time to time, but I've got the same thing as well, man. She opened my eyes about a lot of things in terms of parenting, and when you are fucking up, she's the first to say, yo, you fucking up, man.
they call you out.
Because they know your potential as well, because they've been around you for so long, they know the pros and the cons. It's not, like I say, it's not always an easy conversation to have.
I mean, I'm not saying that they're always right either.
No. Big money. You're not always right. Sometimes you talk shit. Nah.
There's times when you kind of, you bang heads and it's just like, boy. I think when it comes to relationships as well, I think women find it very hard to see men's point of view.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think, obviously, because women are emotional beings, yeah. Everybody knows that when it comes to the way people think or women think and men think more logically and more with our heads, less emotional. Women kind of move more on their emotions and they act more on their emotions, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of noise that comes with the things that they say that are right and they have a point on, but then there's a lot of noise behind that comes with it. You know what I mean?
And maybe that's sometimes why they may not come with the right approach when they want to get a message across to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I suppose it goes vice versa as well.
Same way.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes man don't really... I think for men as well, it's like sometimes we don't speak on our emotions as well. So, you know, where we're more logical, we don't think about how things affect us emotionally, and we don't really speak about them things too often. You know what I mean?
And then when you do, sometimes it comes out and we can say it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And exert the frustrations that have been building up because
man,
trying to think logically.
There's faults on both sides and you kind of have to try and see both perspectives. I think that goes with any relationship anyway, whether it's friends or whatever. It's always looking at the bigger perspective and kind of try to see it from not just your own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And once you can do that, I think life becomes a lot more easier and less stressful.
Yeah.
Relationships, friendships become a lot more easier.
Yeah, without a
You
doubt.
understand people, and I think as well you gain less tolerance for people's bullshit.
Mm.
Like I understand that you're full of shit, so let's just part ways.
Yeah.
That's something I
You
used to
don't
have
need
to
to
say
argue.
to my sister all the time because she'd always kind of expect her friends to react the way that she would. And I have to say to her, look, if these are your friends, you're supposed to know who they are, you know. And don't expect them to do what you do. Just know who they are and know what they're like.
Love them for who they are.
Yeah, because what you might do for them, they ain't going to do for you because that's not them.
Exactly.
Yes.
Unrealistic expectations is a borderline for frustration, man. You get
Man said it.
frustrated. Like, just
Right,
have your
true.
expectations and stick with it.
It's all learning. It's all part of life, and learning about yourself, learning about your friends and people that you want surrounding you, or people that you're gonna keep surrounding you. Because it's not everybody that you're gonna
Not
keep.
everybody makes it.
You know what I mean?
No,
But
of course.
there's some people that you say, you know what, I got love for you, and you're not me, so you're gonna do things your way, and I kind of have to just kind of respect your views and respect your perspective. But
I think once you learn that and you understand that, it makes dealing with people a lot easier because you don't get as frustrated by their fuckery because you understand that this is them.
Yeah.
This is them. Like, I've had situations like that where people have done stuff that I wouldn't do to them.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's you. I understand that you are you. So I'm not going to cut you off because my thing is used to always be cut off.
Yeah,
But I'm going to love you from a distance.
yeah. And not everybody's all the time people.
Yeah.
Some people are just sometimes people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'd say sometimes.
Sometimes
You know what I mean?
at the right time.
You know what I mean?
Right times.
It might be once a year.
Yeah.
It might be once a month. But you know what I mean?
We can link
link
up
up. And then there's other people that you're happy to see every day
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you can always vibe and the energy's always nice. But you know that person there, if I spend too much time with you, we're gonna clash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Gonna
let's just enjoy this moment, and I'll see you next time. You know what I mean?
We'll link up later.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And that's what it has to be.
And that's life though, man. Like you say, it's all part and parcel of learning, man, and understanding yourself and other people's and your tolerance levels
Yeah.
as well. What you're going to tolerate from people.
Yeah, for real.
Obviously, off the back of that conversation, there's something that we discussed. We discussed vaguely in our community, but we kind of skate over it and say mental health. Black men don't talk, and we never really get into it. But I don't know about you lot, but I've noticed in the past year more and more cases of people struggling with the mental health.
Yeah.
To the point where a lot of them seem like they need sectioning.
I don't even think it's a case of that there's more. I think it's now we're at an age or stage in our lives where we just recognise it more. You got to think about it like, you know, when you're growing up in your 20s and you're not even paying attention to certain things because you're out and you're just enjoying your life. And
I don't know. I feel like I always was though because I was exposed to mental health from
alright,
young.
Mr. Exception though.
No,
I hear you
even
though, I hear you.
but it was like
You was around it, you was there in your family.
Family member,
Yeah.
mum, uncle, this, that. I've seen people have breakdowns from young, so I've always felt like I've been able to notice
sensitive
it.
to
Yeah.
When people are going on a certain way, I can kind of pick out, he's maybe going through a breakdown, or he might be, he's a drinker, or he's on drugs.
I think now people are a lot more willing to help people, whereas back then it was kind of people just kind of left people to what they were doing.
Yeah, but
You know, my man's drinking, yeah.
Charlie,
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, boy,
all these kind of
people weren't really looking at what they were actually dealing with behind closed doors.
It was easier to label
Yeah.
them rather than actually be compassionate.
And
for
also
what
the
they might
fact
be going
that
through.
as men,
men don't talk.
we weren't even, not even that men don't talk, we weren't raised to talk. Do you know what I mean? We didn't come from a community or family members where man actually sat down and talked about their problems and what they were going through.
And how they
You know what I
felt.
mean? Yeah, because it was seen as soft. You know what I mean? It was
Because
seen
let's
as
face it,
weak.
man would talk about the problems. Man, the baby mothers did talk about, but how they felt about it. That's the big difference.
Yeah.
And if they're not exerting,
But
and
it's
getting
like,
that out.
man weren't allowed to be emotional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
certain things, it's like, boy, now I think people are recognizing that if you don't kind of hear people out and allow people to express themselves emotionally, then that's when issues start happening. That's when people start to close up and,
Have
you know what I mean?
breakdowns
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it is definitely people need outlets, and self-awareness as well, because I've noticed a lot of people who do have breakdowns, whilst they're having that breakdown, they're not aware. Whereas, let's say, if I felt depressed, I'd be aware that I was in a depressed state. If I felt like I was being a bit aggressive, I can tell when I'm feeling a bit more anxious or a bit more aggressive. So that's something I can moderate and be like, what?
How often do you talk about it?
Mental health?
Not yourself when you're in those states.
I do, but sometimes it feels like no one gives a shit. Like, I'm willing to talk about it. I'm an open book, I'll tell you. People may say I chat too much, but I'm an open book. So I don't mind expressing how I feel, but sometimes it does take a lot. So then when you mentioning stuff to someone and they don't really seem that interested, it makes it difficult to have that conversation, because it's like, I'm putting myself out here, out of my comfort zone. And you don't really seem receptive to it. You're not really that interested in it. Like.
But that might be the uncomfortableness from this guy receiving this emotional. Just like it's
partly.
hard for man to talk about it, because it's hard for man to hear it sometimes.
Yeah, partly.
You know what I mean? Whether they're going through it or not.
I think I'm very lucky in that aspect, because I had a friend called Colin. I say I had a friend, I still got a friend called Colin. And he kind of set up a group, I think it was kind of like around COVID time or just before. And it was a yoga group, you know what I mean? Man would go do some yoga. But then after the session, man would sit down. Yeah. And it was the reason for it was for people to sit down and just express and just talk about the problems. And, you know what I mean? It'd be like, yo, so what's anything been bothering you this week? Or and it's like the podcast that man are having, you know what I mean, where you just sit down and man just go heart to heart. You know what I mean? And just try and figure out, you know, what's actually bothering you, what's been hard in your life. You know what I mean? And I think for that small group of men, it was a bit of an eye-opener to kind of realise that, yo, this is something that we actually need. You know what I mean? And not everybody realises or recognises that it's something that's needed even. You know what I mean?
I think it helps when you realise other people are going through the same kind of shit that you're going through, or you hear other people's problems. It kind of puts yours into perspective sometimes. Because I remember being a teenager and going through certain things in life and thinking, fucking hell, why always me, man? Why do I have to go to the hospital and go visit people when they had a breakdown? Or why is this dysfunctional thing happening? Or why is that happening? Or why is this test happening? But then when you get older, because as a youth, I wasn't talking to people about my problems. Probably why I was a little bit more aggressive as a kid, because I wasn't really talking. So anytime you wind me up, it's just that anger's coming out. So then I've got older and I've started to talk, and I've realised I've become calmer because I've got an outlet. I'm talking about my problems, and I'm realising, like, yo, he's been through hell and back as well.
It's not just you.
It's not just this is something that happens to us all. Like, we're all going through. Oh, he's been there. He's gone through that. Rah. Some people's situations, you look at it and it's like, wow, my situation.
That's why social media. That's why social media it makes things worse now, because everybody sees these people posting shit every day and like, oh, I'm having such a great life, and then behind the camera, that's not the life that they're living. You know what I mean? It's kind of giving people this
false sense of reality.
Yeah.
I think that's the big problem with social media and people's self-esteem, is that people's self-esteem is so low, they feel like they have to show this great side of life all the time. Yeah. And I posted something on Facebook the other day, which was kind of aimed at them kind of people. It's like, you lot keep stunting on Facebook and social media, but when the wolves catch you and they rob you and take away your stuff, who are you going to blame? You're going to call these lot haters? We know that this is what they do. We know that this is what they do, so why are you, because of your low self-esteem, going up posting your expensive coat or your nice car and
because they feel like they have to compete with the other people that are doing it, man. And it's like, that's how they measure themselves. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, I need to be seen doing what they're doing or living how they're living. It's like everybody's trying to match what everybody else is doing rather than just being happy with what they've got and who they are. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
And if anything, showcasing the normality rather than showcasing the high. Because you're never going to showcase the low unless you're begging sympathy. Unless you actually want.
But that, sort of again, that's another thing though. If people are posting the lows, then they seem like they're wanting sympathy. You know what I mean? So it's like people are battling with how do they actually, or what do they actually post and put out there.
But this is why social media as a whole is the problem. Yeah. Because now, if you start thinking too deeply about what you posted, do you remember when Snapchat first came out? You post whatever.
Yeah, everything.
You post funny things. You post the highs. You don't really post yourself crying or nothing. But you post whatever.
Some
Anything's
people
there,
do.
you post
Yeah,
it.
it depends what you wanted out there.
You know, there's no setup. Now
Yeah.
on Instagram, there's a setup.
Yeah, people got all lights in the bedroom, you know what I mean?
Full, them things
Yeah.
up there. Full on
Where's my
selfie
ring
stick
light?
lights.
Where's my ring light?
It all feeds into the same kind of insecurities, because even like a lot of women, I not cuss them, but I try to feed life into a lot of women, because I notice some of the prettiest women I know use filters when they're taking a picture.
I don't get it.
And it's like, you're Chris. I said to a girl the other day, saying, you're Chris. All you need is cocoa butter and you're good to go.
I feel for the women out there, cause as we were growing up, it was just makeup.
All you needed is cocoa butter.
It was just no. But what I'm saying is,
Something
it was
free.
just makeup that you'd be worried. Yeah,
Yeah,
girl put
yeah.
on too much makeup now. Girl blowing up her lips. Girl blowing up the body. You know what I mean, it's like everything's so
Living up the
cosmetic
place.
now.
Listen,
It's like
listen, there's about 1 or 2, 3 man that I know that use filters.
Man. Wow.
Got one man on Snapchat. One man me and you know. He don't do it all the time. But he's put filters sometimes on his phone, and I had to pop up to him on WhatsApp like, yo, what you doing, blood? Get that filter off, man. He's like, yeah, so
But that's
what,
the-
man?
that's the
So
age
what,
that
man?
man are in,
Gal do it. So
Nah, this
yeah,
is the
and
thing.
that's what I'm like. What you mean?
See that statement there, yeah, pisses me off from both sexes.
Man do it. So
Man
why
do
can't
it,
gal do it?
so why can't gal do it?
Yeah,
Gal do
yeah.
it. Because we're not the
You're not the
fucking
same.
same.
You're not the same.
We're not the, it's black and white. We are not the same. We are not the same for a reason. God created us different for a reason. We can't do what they can do, and they can't do what we can do. And this is the whole reason why one of the guests isn't here today, because he thinks he can do what women can do, and he can't.
It's not the
blood.
same.
We're different. I don't want to see you in your stilettos and your box braids. I'm not sitting next to you on a podcast doing that for my ego. As much as controversial you are and you've got a story to tell, cool. But we're not doing that, bro.
Not
You're not
doing-
coming up here just like a woman with high heels and that, and I'm just sat here acting normal.
And we are not homophobic.
Nah,
We're not.
Blood, I've got gay family members, and I don't mind gay people, bro. You live your movie. I actually rate gay man because it's more pum pum for me. You see, you man in a relationship and you gay man, do your thing. Let me live my single movie. I don't mind, but the gay people, them, it don't bother me at all, bro. When I was a youth, I won't lie, I'll admit I was homophobic. I wasn't interested in all that. I would calling you this and that. And I might have cussed one out on the road one time in hell, who knows? But I'm grown now. I've seen past that, and it's like, you don't affect my life.
So I don't need to affect yours.
You're not throwing nothing at me. You're not throwing nobody at me.
You do you.
You do you. You're not troubling me. You get me? You're cool. We can be amicable. It's cool. Like, I'm not gonna be best friends. I'm coming to your yard and budding with you and chilling and rare.
Giving you big long
Don't
hugs
get
and
me
all
wrong,
that.
I've got friends that are, you know what I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'll go chill with them, you know what I mean, whatever else, but that's your life.
Yeah,
You know what
I've
I mean?
never got that close to someone that's homosexual to build that kind of relationship.
I've never, you see, I'm not homophobic, but I could feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah.
And although a lot of the times I'm kind of good at hiding that uncomfortability, I do feel uncomfortable, especially when they're as pansy as how certain man can be. If
What do you mean by pansy?
pansy Nancy, my mum would do, hey, when they're too much.
Yeah.
You know, but
I think camp's different, man. I think when you camp and you're too much and you think you're a female,
yeah.
I struggle to deal with that. Like, there's gay men out there that are just...
There's a
that
difference
you won't
between
even
gay
really
and
know they're
thinking
gay.
you're a female, because
Yeah, man.
for
I
me,
think
that's something
that's
else.
too much, man. That's,
You know what I mean?
that's borderline mental health.
All right, like check it one time, and this is in Meanwood, you know, your ends.
But shut up, don't do this.
This is in
You
Meanwood.
like to do
I
this.
swear down,
You like to
Meanwood,
do
your
this
ends.
shit.
I went to the KFC in Meanwood.
Yeah, go on.
Me and my girl went to the KFC. Went with my youths. Went with her youths. We'll go for a KFC before we drop my youths off back home to Armley. Yeah. Went KFC, grabbed some food. There was 2 bad. Yeah.
Homosexuals.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say back. There was 2 men on the side.
Two homosexuals.
Yeah, I'm gonna beat that off. I'm gonna beat that off. and there was on the side, and one of them, pretty normal.
Yeah.
The other one, sus. Yeah.
Okay, so
I analyse.
Maybe
When I'm in these
maybe
situations,
he was the,
you know,
feminine one.
Huh?
Maybe he was. Think about it when it comes
No,
to
the
lesbians.
both was. I'll get to it.
Oh, okay.
The
Cool.
both was 100%. One of them dressed hoodie, like tracksuit, looks normal. You know, didn't have the resting kind of face that you know what I mean, innit?
I don't know what you mean. You need to explain. You sounded very homophobic.
Sounds like a thinking now.
Can you explain? Can you enlighten us?
All right, they didn't have the camp resting face. Let me say that.
Okay.
The camp resting face.
Do you know what though?
You know the face, man.
No,
Come on,
I
man.
understand
The
it as well.
stance.
I understand
you know,
it as
come
well,
on. There's
though,
body
because
languages to it, man, where you can kind of tell.
some of them have been through a lot of shit, man. Some of them have
Exactly,
seen a lot
but
of
the guy
abuse.
next to him was, and I'm not saying I'm gonna say he was as bad as my man who was gonna come on. He was nowhere near.
Yeah.
But instantly, there was something up with this guy. I could tell. Anyway, Nessa says, "Hey, have you noticed them two?" And I went, "What? Trying to act dumb." And she went, "Them two again." I went, "Really? How did you know?" And she went, "Because I heard them talking about so where we're going after this? Am I coming to yours?" And the way he said it,
Yeah.
but that was the one that was a bit more sus.
Okay.
And then the other one was just normal, but although he was fully normal, and this was the first time I've actually seen it because this is a black guy. No, sorry, these are two mixed race guys together, and this is the first time I've seen it where although this guy was normal and he wasn't blurting it out there, he was comfortable with it. You know what I mean? Like he was comfortable. Like,
But is that a bad thing?
no, I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing, but what I'm trying to say is like it's the first time I've seen it, especially in Meanwood. Like it's like seeing it in Chapeltown. Like,
Yeah, but you do see. That's what I'm saying. They say we live in a different time now where certain things are more accepted. You know what I mean? And the reason why I say it's not necessarily a bad thing because people as themselves are being more accepted, and I think it's why you seeing people being more open with who they are and how they are. Because of the acceptance or wanting that acceptance. You know what I mean? Sometimes it goes off the back of, well, if you don't accept me, fuck it, I'm gonna be who I want to be anyway. You know what I mean? But I think there's been a lot of issues in the past where people haven't been accepted for who they are, felt like they would be accepted. You know what I mean? Even by their own families.
Yeah.
You know, this is where the mental health aspect comes into it as well.
It's real.
You know what I mean? So it's deep, fam. You know what I mean?
Nah, it's, man. It's a lot more than just name calling and
100%.
misunderstanding.
Man can judge and say
Deep,
whatever,
man,
but
it can hurt 'em.
again, everybody's story is different.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And you don't know what their background is. You don't know what they've been through to kind of get to this point where now they feel like, I'm just going to be me.
And just like you said with your kids, there's you never know where to raise. There's never the same way to raise them. People react differently to the same sort of experiences. Yeah. So, like for example, my man, who come on, he could be this way because purely he just said, "Fuck it, I'm throwing it down man's face. If they don't like me, then they don't like
because
me."
we don't know. He could have always been like, I don't know him from back in the days or anything, but he could have been like man growing up, but always had that in him. So people was like, "Oh, you little." Throwing insults at him to the point where I was like, "Do you know what it is? F it. I'm just gonna be 100% raw with it."
Wearing stilettos. I'm walking our walk.
One of Rex 32's tracks the other day, Mama's Boy.
Oh yeah.
Where he's talking about how his dad used to call him a mama's boy, and you know what I mean, go in the room and they'd be like, come on, mama's boy, you know what I mean? And certain things like that, you know what I mean, can leave scars from, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now he's a mama's boy, and it's like, am I supposed to be acting like a man or they're saying that he acts too womanish or too much like a girl, you know what I mean?
Start questioning things from that.
Yeah, so certain seeds get planted sometimes, you know what I mean? And it kind of either makes people insecure about who they are, or you know what I mean, and it makes them makes them want to be somebody else or something else, you know what I mean? Or makes them question themselves
to kind of justify why they're being called that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what
Sometimes
I mean?
you can plant seed in people's heads that may have never blossomed into what you planted anyway. Do you know what I mean? So you could be saying this to this view, but he wasn't even feeling like that. He just close with his mum because mum give you love.
Yeah.
Like I was a mummy's boy from young. Like I was underneath my mum from young, man, and all up in big people business fasting and not listening, not repeating it there, but I'm listening and hearing so and so coming and bitching about her baby father staying out all night, and my mum giving advice, and my mum bitching about my dad. And all the people say, oh really? I'm not saying because I want to still be, because I don't want to get kicked out of the room, but I'm like, you know,
in the back of your head, just stay quiet.
You see, as we're on this conversation about mums, I don't know if it's whether it's a single mum thing, like, you know, son and single mum.
Yeah.
But I was sleeping up in my mum's bed up until like I was 10.
I used to try sneaking.
I used to go try sneaking, yeah, but obviously when Shavana's dad came around, obviously I couldn't.
You're not coming in the bedroom.
Not coming in the bedroom.
Come out.
You know what I mean?
So, comfy in there, though. It's your comfort zone.
It's the warmth.
It's warm.
Yeah.
Your mum's there. She's cuddly.
And you don't realise, because as a you growing up, like with your mum's smell, you realise how strong, like, a smell plays on your emotions. You know this when you smell a piece of food that you hadn't smelt for quite a while. The sort of emotions smell, like it's a sense in it, and it plays on your emotions.
With your partners and things, it's the same thing. You know what I mean?
It's the same with all animals that are being nurtured. Like they got to run off smell, because it's a smell. It's the first thing before your ears develop, before your eyes develop. You smell out for your mum. You smell out for the nipples.
It's on thingy.
Well, yeah, man, it's a valid point. Time.
Coming to the end of the road.
Already?
He needs to give us that signal, bro. Time flies.
It's been good. It's been
we could have spoken for longer, and even though you was apprehensive, from what I gathered, you was apprehensive.
A little bit at the start. You got comfortable.
We spoke for time. Not even. I'm on about like when we was pestering.
Right. Coming on.
Yeah. He seemed cool once he had his dragon started. Couldn't shut him up. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, it was good, and it was everything I expected it to be, man. Just a real conversation, and I feel like, without giving the viewers too much, I feel like this is what we've been missing, man. Sometimes just the man, them just having a chat.
Yeah, man. This is how the idea started.
This is how it started, and sometimes you can forget the essence, chasing the dream.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, for me personally, that's what is very important now, is just to get back to the essence, man, of enjoying it. If it grows into something, it grows into something. If it don't, it don't. Because regardless, the things that we're planning and the things that we're doing outside of the podcast are going to grow anyway. So we're always doing better. So we're always going to be a success. Even if we dropped out tomorrow, the fact that we're aspiring to do better and the things that we're planning, we're always going to achieve better than we are doing the day before or the month before.
Yeah,
so
no doubt, man.
there's no doubt in that. So wherever this goes, it goes, man. I think for the viewers, for the team.
Look at the camera.
For the viewers, for the team. I know you don't notice I ain't got a dress now, ladies. Just cool, no man. Like my DMs, no man. I'm not into the love thing. My heart's been broken. Yeah, nah. But yeah, man, it's good, man. It's good, and like, as much as I've said about mental health and it's rife and there's a lot going on, even though all the trials and tribulations in the world, it's a good time to be alive, man. Like, we're doing good things. We've had events. We've linked up with other people outside of the circle, and we're building up a little team of a manager, a this, a that, an advisor. Nicky was the guy that put us onto the link for acapella.
Yeah.
You know, we've been scratching each other's back and working as a team and building something great, man. So
we only move forward, innit?
But if there's one thing that I actually want to say before we actually cap this up, is remember this started from us having real talks, but initially it started from the issues we was having with our baby mothers. Well, for me especially, I was doing a lot of venting back there. Yes, I had a lot to say, quite a lot. And one thing to say, if you do ever look, baby mothers, is I appreciate you.
Yeah, big up
you,
my baby mom.
Big up you, I appreciate you. All the stuff I've said in the past, we'll leave it in the past. Not saying I didn't meant it, but we'll leave it in the past, yeah?
I didn't meant it.
I'll add to that though. I'd say there's a big up to the women in our lives, because you know what I mean, without them, you know what I mean, we wouldn't be the men who we are. So mothers, you know what I mean, baby mothers, partners, sisters,
aunties,
you know
cousins,
all of them.
everybody, man.
You know what I mean?
From the ones that have cussed me when I've been going on my stupidness to the ones that, everyone, man. Big up my aunties, Ebony, everybody, man.
Because it's you who bears the fruit. and we are the trees in rising.
Speak again, you know.
Yeah.
Man got lyrics, you know.
You got lyrics, you know. You don't always say to put the right words together. The lyrics system, you know what I mean? You might have a tune, man.
Go on.
Nah, trust me, man. But yeah, we're gonna cap it up, man. I don't. You
Yo,
was
man,
great.
respect,
Give thanks.
man. Thank you for
Yo.
coming, man.
This is Say It With Ya.
Blood clot chest.
You wear it on gams, man. What you mean?
Yeah, where's mine?
Yeah, we got you, man. We
yeah.
got you, man. What size?
Black, grey, or white?
Lash.
I don't even know if options like that in large, you know, but we've got a large. Yeah. I think it might be grey. Large.
Nah, I'll take one.
No, we've got grey, but we definitely got black, remember? On bare black large.
I'm not with black then. I keep getting mixed up. Do you know when you go?
In Leeds?
Yeah, Leeds bus station.
Fucking hell.
But do you know when you go into them Yep app and all that? If you go through all the cases, majority of them I seen the other day were just sexual offences, sexual assault, sexual
I've
assault.
noticed that for years.
Yeah.
For years.
It leads on the when you go in the YEP.
Yeah.
A lot of it's sexual crimes.
I've only been noticing it since this Burnley thing. That's only because I've been going on it.
Going on it, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Quite prevalent
Over
now.
the years, I have always noticed that these things pop up a lot. Like, dirty old men rubbing up girls or this and that. But it's like I say, because we're getting older now, some of the man where we're growing up around getting caught up in these kind of...
Like they're adopting
Yeah.
this sort of.
It's more on your doorstep.
You don't know what
Coming
they've
up in
been
their
for,
history,
being
innit?
exposed to.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Their dad could have been raping at the moment, they've seen it as normal.
True.
Because just because you've got a kid to someone don't mean that they have to give you the pussy every time you come round.
True.
Some
That's true. I never really thought about
there's
that.
a generation of olders who they believe they can take pussy. There's a generation of like my dad's era where they think they're taking that pussy, that's theirs. There's
Yeah,
not.
people didn't talk
What?
up about it.
No, what? What do you mean?
I'm
Like,
taking
No, people
it.
didn't
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
Women didn't talk up about it.
Just certain like religions and cultures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If the husband wants, then the
Yeah,
wife has to
husband's
give.
supposed to get, yeah.
Didn't at one point it used to be in the law for marriages where if
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
you
So,
could rape
so
your
when you
wife
think
and it's
about,
not
like,
called rape.
When you think about like my grandparents, you know what I mean, back then it was a case of you obeyed your husband in that sense. You know what I'm saying? Honor and obey, that was the law, and it was you were frowned upon if you would even get a divorce or to leave your husband. You know what I mean? All of them kind of things there. So yeah, man, it's
seen as normal, innit?
Yeah.
But then again, they seem to stick things out a lot more than us. Like, we're quick to leave our baby mothers or our
Yeah,
baby.
because that's what if they didn't do that, fam, they were seen as even like not worthy, or you know what I mean.
Or whatless.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You'll never remarry her, you know what I mean. You won't go walk out on your hood. All of them kind of things, you know what I'm saying.
like that now.
Yeah, but it was the same thing in black culture as well.
A Muslim wouldn't want to get with a divorcee.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, but it was the same thing in black culture. You know what I mean. If you left your marriage, you know what I mean, you was frowned upon. You know what I mean. So yeah, it's generational things that are passed on.
Yeah.
You left your marriage as a woman, not as a man.
Not as a man. Yeah, man could do anything.
Yeah.
Man could do anything. Man could go and sleep with everybody, next man wife and all them things. You know? Yo, trust me. And it wasn't even it wouldn't even seen as
Nothing.
you know what I mean. Man were not reprimanded for them kind of things, whereas a woman would get, you know what I mean, judged for walking out on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Cabin still be open?
Yeah, they're not closing.
I'm hungry. What time is it? 25 to 10. Man. It's got some good time in it.
Yeah, I told you, man.
That was good.
Time goes fast in here. And like even now, like this after bit, you can just get lost in time. You said up chatting, man.
Save it for next time.
Yeah.
You got to remember when the after bit, don't turn the manuals and bikes on.
No,
They are now. Yeah.
But there wasn't
only
on the
since you said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anytime, any potential content we just have to.
Just remember not switch that off until we leave.
Yeah. Just in case.
You know what you might miss, you know what I mean?
Just in
I
case.
will.
Would have been good to get that Bernie bit on there. Even though we didn't mention him on the main thing, he's still got his mention.
Yeah. Fire from there.
Definitely too late. We didn't even mean to.
Don't need to give that boy anymore.
Yeah, anymore thing, fam.
You know what I mean?
I want to see what he does when he gets out of jail because he's good at rebranding himself. That fucker. I can see him moving to a different city.
Oh yeah, he's definitely
doing
gonna
how
do
many
that.
years? 14. Well,
Nah,
he's not going to do 14, but
He'll do probably
half the time, innit?
3/4 of 9.
If he wants to rebrand
Fall
himself,
for life.
if he wants to rebrand himself, he's going to have to move counties.
Yeah.
Not even Yorkshire. He's gonna have to move counties.
It depends where
Put
he
it this
goes.
way.
Because even
Manchester,
in Nottingham,
Leicester.
it's hot. Manchester people know him over there. He'd be out there.
I ain't going to be something.
Well, I know all it takes is one person to share the YEP thing in Manchester. It's gonna get around about his.
It's over there.
He's
Like,
probably gonna move to London.
Fizz rang me the other day saying people are ringing him saying, "Wasn't he at your event?"
Yeah, it was one of the one that I
Yeah.
went to as well.
He was at the event.
The picture of me and him at
Oh,
the event.
stop it.
So I said, man, you're a boy, man.
Yeah, you love throwing that one out there, man. First time I got mad with him, man. Man was in a group chat. I said,
Oh,
"Blood,
stop it.
don't do this." The man in this group chat doesn't know me.
The only person.
Oh, shut up, it's your boy.
The only person who knows about is Ginger J, you know.
Yeah, I
you know,
am.
you know what you get into Ginger J.
Yeah,
haven't you?
the man don't know me like
I
that.
was upset, man. I thought it was on the Saturday.
Oh, the event.
I was going to bring out my little couple, you know.
Someone-
Who
who did I see?
I got him at 2 o'clock and I seen the thing on the Facebook. And I says, wait, are they there tonight as well? I said,
We're going to do a night thing.
and I thought, oh, no way.
No, we're organising one as we speak for August, man.
Alright.
Yo, you looked at the thing for Belgrave, DEE.
I'm not a big DWE fan, me.
Are you
know.
not?
No.
Oh no.
I know. I rate
He's
him.
going Belgrave at the end of the month.
I rate him for being able to recycle one bar for 20 years. Other than that, I don't really think he's that great. Like, I won't go to see him now. Even back in the days when everyone rated him, I wasn't a big DWE fan, but I did that with a lot of artists. I think I was a little bit ignorant to, if everyone's on it, I don't really want it. Like, get gigs. And everyone listens to gigs, I don't give a fuck about gigs, man.
At first, I wasn't really
I
feeling
never
gigs
played
that
fan
much,
of
but
gigs.
eventually he did win me over.
could,
Whether it's
with
a
certain
commercial
songs.
thing, whether the songs just kept... Like, even Talking the Hardest, I wasn't feeling that at first, but then I realised, yeah, you know what? It's
I found
actually
it very
hard. You know?
monotone, man.
Yeah,
It was like,
Yeah.
everything just sounded the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like,
Pre-
That's what
pre-
my brother used to say.
pretty stale flow, but eventually it caught, man. He managed to turn a stale flow
you
into
didn't have a choice because
gangster.
it got pushed up.
And the thing
But I'll
is,
give him it. His raps and complexities in his rhymes was good. It was just a dead delivery
There's
most
only
of the
one
time.
track I liked of his, and that was the Spider-Man tune. There you go. I mean, I think it was just a tune that I'd heard, and I thought, you know, this don't sound too bad.
yeah, no, he's got one or two that I can listen to, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big fan if I'm honest with you. Especially compared to like people love gigs at one point. I was like,
Yeah, then they found out he went to Diddy's party.
yeah. Young Spray's been his biggest thing, hasn't he, man? Young Spray's not letting that feud go.
You not see
Yeah.
Giggs' son?
Yeah, it sounds just like him.
Sounds just like it with a bit of a
ML is called.
Exactly the same.
He
Yeah,
raps
mannerisms,
on that.
face, everything is looks like him.
When my man drops you the thingy, I'll give him some change to give you for today as well.
Yeah.
When he drops you the memory card tomorrow. Yeah, ML sounds just like Giggs, man. But Young Spray, he's kind of turned being the victim on its head. And just being so aggressively the victim, it's been mental. Like, he'll slander Giggs at any opportunity. and we're at a point where no one would. I seen one time, Krept must have put a post about some rap tune. He must have jumped on a tune with Digga D or Dig That or one of them, man, and it's gone top 40.
Yeah.
It's like, top 40 for drill, rare. And Giggs is like, yo, let the youths have the moment, man. You're always clout chasing off the youths and slandered him online.
Yeah.
I've seen an interview where Krep's almost like, I don't know what I've done wrong to Hollow, man. I don't know why he's upset with me. It's been a bit. My man's come on your thing. Anyone else? I think Wiley must have said something cheeky to a Krept or Conan online, and it was coming at him. Giggs said something. No, I'm just saying nothing. I just saw him somewhere upset. Hollow, man. You know, a bitch, and then see Young Spray was coming and be like, Giggs there.